Hello, good day everyone, especially to you, sir. Good day. My name is Richelle Escuvido, and I am the first reporter for our activity entitled The School of Thoughts. In this activity, we are required to identify the school of thought being applied or applicable to the situation in the left column, which is under behavior or action. In the third column, we are required to identify the philosopher being associated in the situation. So, first is the mother has to leave the family to work as nanny in the Middle East. So, the specific school of thought applicable in this situation is the humanistic psychology. So, why? In the third column, the philosopher. American psychologist Abraham Maslow proposed of needs or drives in order of decreasing priority or potency, concentrates on fulfilling potential and maximizing well-being, then concentrating on dysfunction. And it is very clear. As you can see in the situation, there's a specific need that needs to be fulfilled. So the responsibility of being a mother is, of course, to work or to raise funds to support the necessity of the family. So our next problem is the salesman prepares himself for product presentation. He conditions himself on how to present his product, his strategy, and the possible questions or objections. He visualizes the situation prior to the actual presentation. So the school of thought applicable to this problem is structuralism. Structuralism was further developed by one student, namely Edward B. Tachiner. So, in this problem, the applicable school of thought or specific teaching by Mr. Tachiner is the introspection, which means the process by which a person looks inward at their own mental processes to gain insight into how they work. It is the self-observation of one's consciousness. So as you can see, the salesman is looking forward on a successful output for his presentation. That's why he is using his strategic mind to come up with a successful product. So next one is the person examines his life. He sees patterns in life that give him or her happiness. So the pattern is both his or her strength and weaknesses. So the specific school of thought applicable to this problem is positive psychology. The philosopher that can be associated in this specific school of thought is Mr. Martin Seligman. So positive influences like strength, optimistic emotions, and construction institution. And as you can see in the problem, it is very evident that he is looking at the bright side of life, and that is happiness, which is recognizing both his weaknesses and strength. Then the fourth problem is the person buys iPhone 12 because his or her friends are using the same brand. So, the specific school of thought applicable to this problem is behaviorism. You can see in the problem, the person wants to buy iPhone 12. It is because of the influence of his friends. So, his friends is considered as the environmental factors because he may be surrounded by those person who are using the same brand of phones, and he or she may feel inferior, or he also wanted to experience and he wanted to use the same quality as they were using. So that's why it is called behaviorism. So it is John Watson emphasizes the role of environmental factors influencing behavior to the near exclusion of innate or inherited factors. So as you can see, the person is trying to buy iPhone 12. It is because of his or her friends. The last problem is man's behavior is either copied from the parents or the opposite of what his parents did. So Wilhelm Wundt and Edward Tachiner, who is the founder of structuralism. So this refers to the connections or structure being passed or obtained from your parents. That's why it's called structure. So, as you can see, this involves a specific structure. So, the person or a person's behavior may be affected by her genes or inherited attitude from her parents, grandparents, or any related relatives. So for our next situation is depression due to traumatic brain injury. So the school of thought applicable for this situation is functionalism. So psychologists involved are Mr. William James. He focuses on the premises that all aspects of society serve a purpose or the urgency to act his role depending on the situation. So this person is experiencing a depression due to traumatic brain injury. So that's why there is something wrong with how his brain functions. So it is applicable for functionalism. So it is reasonable that his action may be affected because of this traumatic brain injury. So next is civilization can be achieved by promoting mass transportation like train or bus rather than car, recreation of family in the park, promoting the use of roads for transportation, bike, and pedestrian. So the school of thought applicable for this one is Gestalt psychology. So as we all know, Gestalt psychology is defined as focusing more on the whole rather than its part. So the philosopher that is focusing on this one is Max Werthermeyer or also Fritz Perls, which emphasizes the whole of anything is greater than its part. So as you can see, all the suggested ways here in civilization is through mass integration like mass transportation like train rather than use of car, recreation or family in the parks, and promoting roads. So the next situation would be the behavior of the person is affected by business zoning in the mall and comprehensive land use of the municipality or city. So the applicable school of thought if this one is functionalism. As we all know, functionalism refers to how a person reacts to a specific situation, or it depends on how he would be able to react on specific function. So the philosopher or the psychologist that is focusing on this kind of school of thought is William James, which focuses on the premises that all aspects of society serve a purpose or the urgency to act his role depending on the situation. So as you can see in the situation, the behavior of the person is affected by the business zoning in the mall. So maybe he is against, or maybe he agrees with this business zoning, and also comprehensive land use of the municipality or city. So the behavior may get angry, or the behavior may get confused, or maybe he is for this movement or for this agreement. So everything depends on the situation, so whether a person like it or not. So next is technopreneur attitude. So if you are curious what is technopreneur attitude, this refers to the attitude wherein a person would be able to adapt, especially the way he thinks, like very innovative and very adaptive to the current technological era. So that's that kind of person. He's very flexible and of course very smart and creative. So the school of thought applicable for this one is functionalism. So psychologists involved are of course Mr. William James, focuses on the premises that all aspects of society serve a purpose or urgency to act his role depending on the situation. So this person is adapting our current development era, which is more on technology. So this person might be able to think that he needs to upgrade his attitude. He needs to adapt to what is the environment is giving him. So when it comes to technology, he tried to study technology. When it comes to marketing, his business is he wants to analyze what are the things that he wanted to do in order for him to adapt to this technological improvement. So that's it. Next is the man keeps on living with his unpleasant or traumatic experience. So this one, the school of thought applicable for this one is psychoanalysis. So psychoanalysis is that a person keeps living with his past experience. So ibig sabihin natutrauma siya sa mga napagdaanan niya dati. So it affects din ng kanyang mental health. So the philosopher or psychologist that focuses on this one is John Locke, and also define that it is the past that affects the man's behavior in the present. So that's it. So next one is many left-handed person are good in art or painting. So left side of the body is controlled by the right brain and the right side of the body is controlled by the left brain. So this one, since this deals with our brain or our neuroscience aspect, so the applicable school of thought for this one is the behavioral neuroscience. So states that all thoughts, feelings, and behavior ultimately have a biological reasoning caused by genes, brain, hormones, or nervous system. So the psychologist that focuses on this one is Rene Descartes. So in the situation, he is good in art or painting. So maybe he is using his left brain or the left side of his brain. So next situation is the skills of Colton Harris Moore. Colton's lawyer described his client with Asperger's syndrome. So Asperger's syndrome, since this deals with a syndrome or parang siyang disease or hindi siya disease, so meron siyang special condition. So the school of thought applicable for this one is functionalism. So same, the psychologist that deals with this one is William James. So the action of a person is affected by his current situation. So maybe Asperger's syndrome causes a person to act different from a normal person. So that's it. Next is Steve Jobs shared his 3 stories in his life during his inspirational message in Stanford University commencement exercise. His first story is about connecting the dots from childhood, dropped out from college, he struggled to survive, his knowledge in non-formal education, and his company. So the school of thought applicable for this one is positive psychology. So when we say positive psychology, so it is very obvious from the name itself of the school of thought. So it deals with the positive side of the story, the positive side of the situation. So here Steve Jobs is sharing about his experience from childhood from his story of success. So it's very evident. So the psychologist that deals with this one is Mr. Martin Seligman, who is a positive influencer. So next is Steve Jobs shared his 3 stories in his life during his inspirational message in Stanford commencement exercise. His second story is about love and passion. So this one is humanistic approach. So this one is humanistic approach is defined as situation that is up to date or what we say is practical. So what are the roles and responsibilities that need to be responsibilities, the needs and want that needs to be fulfilled for a person in order to survive. So the psychologist that is focusing on this one is Carl Rogers, emphasizes empathy and stresses the good in human behavior. So this one, Steve Jobs shared his stories, inspirational story, also about love and passion. So our last two situation is Steve Jobs shares an advice to stay hungry, stay foolish. So this one is cognitive psychology, and the psychologist that focuses in this one is Ulrich Neisser. Thanks to works of cognitive psychologists, we will be able to pinpoint, measure how human brain develops and how we think to achieve things that we want to achieve. So that's it. So our last situation would be the statement of Jack Ma that the goal of Alibaba is to help other small business grow. Alibaba helped poor family to become middle class. Jack Ma, I've had lots of failures and rejection. So the school of thought applicable for this one is Gestalt psychology, and also I have been thinking that this is also applicable for positive psychology. So since this deals with a positive aura or positive thinking with failures and of course rejections and how to overcome it, but here the most applicable is Gestalt psychology. So since Jack Mama is to helping small business grow instead of helping only himself, so he wanted to help other people for a mass improvement and a mass impact, not just for his business but for other people to learn how to do business. So the psychologists applicable for this one is Max Werthermer and Fritz Perls, that who emphasizes the whole of anything is greater than its parts. So that's it. I have reached the end of my presentation. So thank you so much for watching, sir. Have a good day. So once again, my name is Richelle Escuvido, your presenter.